Hi, Jess.
Hi, Allison. Good morning, afternoon to you.
Good morning.
Good green.
Green, yes. This is like your green screen.
Yeah, like my green screen.
So Bruce said I must say hi and thank you for looking after the whole family.
Say that you kind of broke up through that one. Say that again, if you would.
Bruce said to say how extended family.
Tell him hi too. Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks. He's just had his face cut apart.
Oh no.
God, I'm a bit worried. Got a bit too many places. I mean, it's not just burning off, they're cutting in and pulling the tumors out now.
Yeah. I had one of those too.
Is that what you had?
Yeah.
Mm.
Didn't know it was a possibility.
I know. If you catch it early, it's great, but it's a very tricky one, melanoma.
Sure is. So now that's one of the things I stay up on.
Good.
Ugh. Anyway, yeah. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, I mean, I went walking this morning. I haven't, and it was raining, and I just sort of have to get out. But I mean, I haven't been walking for like 10 days. But my body just, I really wasn't like thinking I should go and walk. It was, I need to walk. So that was really nice to feel that again. And I thought I would just walk around the block. And then a girlfriend phoned me, and before I knew it, I'd walked over 3 blocks already.
Beautiful.
I was very happy because the flowering trees they started to go off already, but they've still got some of their blooms and they smell just so divine. So it was really good. And your morning?
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Good space.
The kids are the kids off at camp? Is Troy home?
He's at practice. Yeah, he's home now, but he's back. He's out. He went to practice this morning and short practice this morning and working on physical PT stuff and stretching and not doing much. Just trying to recover. And Audrey's at one more week of school, and then they're going to go camping on Wednesday. So they're going to go spend time with the cousins for 2 nights. Wednesday, Thursday night, come home Friday, and then So yeah.
That's great. It's the best feeling at holiday.
Yeah.
I still remember it from university even. Good expansive time and good release, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. Oh. Thinking about our work, and the manual, the worksheet, and say we can practice running through that today.
Good idea.
Unless you had something else.
No, thank you. That's what I've been thinking about all the time, and thinking about how to bring in more, what we've been talking about into what sections. And I'm not sure. But I've just had the question. I wonder where we're going to put that, or I wonder where we fit that in. Do you want to look at the document itself?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Well, we'll go through. I'll lead you through something that I got here. Figured it might, and we can see how it takes shape for the starting position for the worksheet, if you will, for the where people can start with it. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay.
I'm thinking about your slides that you used to draw. Do you remember the slides that you had right in the beginning?
Yeah, that's what I got here, is kind of that version of it. So we'll walk. Here's my intention, is to walk through it as a demonstration of how to fill it out, how to do it, and whether this takes the full shape of it or not. It'll be a good practice to improve upon. Yeah. So I've aimed it this morning. What was there was just how to be happy when there's nothing to be happy about.
I love that.
It's as easy as ABC. Because you're always being charged. ABC, always being charged. So what is charge? Yeah, charge is always in relationship to what you want.
Yes, absolutely.
And what's the charge when you get or think about what you want?
It's very positive, right?
Mm-hmm. So exercise number 1 is associate 5 words to happy.
Nice. I like that.
Which 5 do you have?
5 would be beauty, joy, compassion, collaboration, harmony.
And thinking back over the last 72 hours, 3 days, just on average, what percentage do you experience those?
Last 3 days, mine would be 40%, 50.
Mm-hmm. Good. What's the other time?
The other time would be about 20% negative, and then the rest is neutral.
In the negative, what 5 words would explain the negative?
Resistance, protection, alarm, fear, and the next one is a phrase. Fucked it up.
And if you could wrap all of that energy, that negative energy, into one, could you wrap it into one?
It would be fear.
Good. This is now aware of your starting position.
Exactly.
This is being this is your being. Now, just reflect on the difference between answering those two.
Well, happy is expansive
Hmm.
and unhappy is constricting.
When you answered the negative aspect, what did you notice? What did you observe? Here's one. What words would you say explain that? Described it.
It's more difficult.
Let me ask this. What did you want to do when it came up?
Very good question. Rather not. Don't want to go there.
Good.
Yeah.
Flight.
Yeah.
Flight.
Yeah.
Get away from. Good.
Yeah. Or fight.
Or fight.
Well.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. It can be either or, right?
Oh, yeah. Especially with the protection, right?
Mm-hmm. Good. And so when we want to, what's happening when we want to flee, when we want to get away from it, when we want to avoid it, what would we say is going, what would you say was going on internally?
I don't know that I can describe it any better. That's why I'm kind of quiet. So internally, there's a lot of restriction, and to try and get away from the restriction, the constriction, it's interesting. Those two are a bit different. It's an attempt to get release and relief.
Yeah.
So the intention of it is to get relief. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why we often move away instead of moving in and through.
Yeah. Get away versus moving through it. Yes. Allowing it. Good. One of the ones that I normally see, and that is we judge ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the judging comes in as opposed to assessing.
Mm-hmm. So it's a judge. Oh, I've got to speak it out loud, and that's not how I want to be. I don't, or supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be negative.
That's one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a lot that you can say about that still, Jess.
Mm-hmm. Judge is one. Fight. And so judging is a way of just getting away from it, right? We're judging ourselves, comparing ourselves like, oh, I shouldn't. And that would sound like, oh, I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't be this. I shouldn't. So it's a shoulding on ourselves, which creates guilt and shame.
Exactly.
So it creates that feeling. So the judge is a guilt or shame feeling, and we're wanting to get away from it, run away, flee it. And what if we want to fight it?
The intention is the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's to dissipate it, right? To get it out of the way. It's just a different direction.
It's a different feel. It's an anger. It's almost a control. I want to control it, yet it's just an automatic trigger. Just a word, right? We were looking at a positive. Why didn't you want to, man, maybe you did want to fight positive.
You would be fighting for positive, I believe.
What we just noticed is that there's a pressure to do something with it.
That's, yeah, but if you think in the other direction, there's also pressure with the run, right?
Mm-hmm. Running is a do, right? Is an action to get away from it. There's a pressure to get away from it. There's a conditioning to get out of it.
Yes.
To remove ourselves from it, either by fleeing it, avoiding it, getting out of it, changing it. It's an uncomfortable feeling, or fighting it. That's a frustration and anger.
Yeah.
Either both of them are a resisting.
Very much so. So here's what comes to me. With the fight, often it's attached to the need to be right.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be attached to greed.
Which greed is a version of I have to be right.
Yes. Yeah.
And so there's flight and fight, being aware of our automatic. And so majority of the time, what is your pattern? Would you fight, flight, or flight?
Well, my pattern's changed. What it used to be was freeze and hide and fight.
There we go. Freeze. Interesting. In a way, I think it's freeze and choose.
No, pause and choose. But freeze, you don't have. You literally freeze. There's nothing much going on except in that state of overwhelm.
And I know how we associate to it. Freeze is like playing possum, playing dead.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Pause is different, right?
Pause is a good one. So pause is a new one, and we can say bring in pause and pause.
And pause, you can place, I mean, for me, pause is part of neutral.
Mm-hmm. Which is then it's not charged. So it's not a positive or negative charge. It's in the middle. Perfect. Mm-hmm. So we've paused the charge. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can choose.
Then we can choose. We can relax and choose. So what does relax do? Well, for number 3 is like this is the allow always. It's like always. We can change that always so that we can relax the pressure.
Yeah.
When we pause it, we push pause. There's
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely what you're doing.
And allowing the present moment.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
rather than our tendency is to always run away from that charge, run away from it, or freeze or fight it. We're actually allowing and observing it.
That's right. That's where your real neutrality comes in, right?
Mm-hmm. So we can be neutral. And
So
we can ask. Go ahead.
there's a little bit of a shift
Hmm.
or a discernment for me between pause and neutral.
Hmm.
It's like pause is the step to being able to be neutral.
Mhm.
And then from neutral, then you can move in the direction that you have chosen.
Good. Without the charge. That's right. So you
Yeah.
can ask, and so if we go back to fighting the negative, right? Go back to fighting the negative or fleeing from it. Let's go back to that feeling of fleeing the negative. Where was that pressure coming from?
It starts from our perception,
Mm-hmm.
right, about what is safe and what's not safe.
Yeah.
And it's also aligned to our values.
That's right. We made it up.
Mm.
Yeah. Our conditioning, it's just a pattern. It's an automatic. What I can say is like, oh, is the pressure in here or is it from out there?
And often both, right?
And both.
Both and.
Mm.
It's then you assess where's there space for leverage? What's the most efficient? Like, is it leverage internal or is it external?
Which is just a condition, which is just a pattern, which is where either it's. And I think what I find the leverage for me is to come back to what do I want?
So what comes just before what do I want?
The neutral.
Mm. Mm.
What did you have before the neutral?
I had to get to the neutral is having practiced being more in humility, which takes away the pressure of responsibility. You still have responsibility just in terms of engagement.
Hmm.
But it's engagement to collaborate.
Hmm.
You don't have to be doing it all alone on your own.
I would say that's where I tie the responsibility into it is what do I want? How do I want it? Where do I want it? What do I want? As that, remember, that was always a positive.
Yeah.
No matter what, for everyone, it's always a positive throw. It's a life saving ring, right? It's the life ring, the thing they toss into the water for the drowning. Yeah, it's like that flotation device. That's what do you want? Because it's always going to pull you into the positive.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because when we can ask that question, it pulls us to that positive, out of the negative into the positive.
That's right. Instead of pushing.
Instead of pushing.
So, Jess, there's still also, and I'm not sure about whether we include this in the manual or not, but I don't see the harm in it. So there's still a level between going for a positive but not being attached to it, right? Or seeing a negative or experiencing a negative and not being attached to it. So if you're not attached to being in a positive or a negative, then you can, again, like you said earlier, you observe. You're in the observing position. And when you're in the observing position, you're totally present. Or it's your best starting point for presence, put it that way.
Now, how would you know you're unattached?
By the efficiency, by the speed with which you can dance between the two, between the three states, in and out of them. So you can dance between neutral and negative and neutral and positive.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, good. We don't take it personally.
Yes, 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 yes.
Unattached, unattached. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're aware of expectations.
Yeah. And we're also aware of our full identity.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Identity. Limitations, where's the limitations and the expansions? That's what I was speaking about, is the pressures.
Yes.
There's pressures on it as we're attached to it.
Yeah.
And starting from neutral, we can ask, what do we want? That can take us to the positive. We can do whatever we want from it. One example, what do I want? That's going to lead to a positive. And in that is imagine having it. So the last one would be imagine having it. Allowing again yourself to have it, to experience it, to imagine it. This is working out our creativity. So if it's happy, what do I want? If I want to be happy with whatever pressure's on me, what would make me happy? What would be happy at the end of this? What would be joyful, collaboration? Any of those 5 words that are associated with happy that you've used. You'll find one that's most appropriate for the situation.
Yes. For the person in the situation, right?
It's not always the same one every time, because they're always different situations.
That's right. And there's 3 levels. I always get them mixed up. There are 3 levels of a state of happiness. The first is immediate gratification. The second is having the understanding that to get what you want, you have to go through something unpleasant for yourself. But you make that decision because you want the end result. Right? And then the third one is meaning. Fulfillment.
What's the shortcut?
The shortcut would be meaning.
Fulfillment. Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
fulfillment? That's I'd say that's the, imagine the end of it fulfilled as you want it.
Yeah.
Unattached again, though, still unattached, because all we're working to do is create possibilities,
That's
ways
right.
that it could be, rather than being limited to how it has to be.
That's right. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that opens it up so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you are able to dance from something that hasn't worked the way that you needed it to work, to something else that comes along that does work properly for whatever reason, you know.
And permission to discover what you want.
Very
That
much.
meaning of happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Permission to play with it.
Yeah.
Permission to engage in it, as that is where life is found.
Yeah.
Discovered, experienced, and engaged with. It's
So the
nothing.
one, yeah. So the one thing that, you know, as we're talking, that's come up for me a lot over the last 4 days, kind of thing, was being able to sit in the resistance. So in other words, to be able to go into the negative. And I did that by asking, what is this? What is this experience in my body?
Yeah.
And then I got the answer, it's resistance. And then I asked, so what does that look like? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
And in asking that, I mean, I was meditating, so I wasn't analyzing. I was in a different brainwave state, right? And it was literally Joe's experience of the supernova.
Yeah.
Constriction, and then it just breaks through, and then like much completely unexpected experience,
Mm-hmm.
and very pleasant.
Next level, yes.
Mm-hmm.
More advanced awareness, advanced ABCs, yes.
Yeah, and
Why?
we're going. Sorry.
Go ahead.
We're going to go in between those. You know,
Yes.
there are times where we're going to have it like that. There are other times where we're going to sweat it out until we realize, oh, you know,
Yep.
dummy.
Sometimes, yeah. So and that's why the pressure, like whether it's if I'm fighting it or avoiding it, right? To know those becomes very, very key, because most of the time when we go for what we want, it'll be enough to remove the resistance out of the way. Yeah. But sometimes on the real deep stuff, we have to go into the avoidance. We have to experience it. We have to go through all those bad things that would happen that we've made up because the block is on that side of it.
That's right.
That's advanced.
Yeah.
That's what people pay the big bucks to learn.
I mean, that's what you do in meditation, though, right? And remember, when you're in meditation state, you're protected.
Yes.
You know, so that's your container.
That's right. And your unconscious doesn't know the difference between it happening like that and out there, as we think of, quote, we'll call reality. It knows no different.
Yeah.
So we can choose to experience that horrible thing out there or experience it in a meditative state.
That's why they say die once on the mat and you never have to die again. Not so easy, but
No, not at all. But well, it's easier. It's easier to die on the mat than to die in the real world, like to face it out there in that real reality world. That, and so many people don't know that that is the possibility.
That's right. That's right. Which is why there is so much strife, right?
Yep. Because what's of the truth, meaning that it both works it works in both directions. So not only are we visualizing what we want, the possibilities of the positive, because so that we can have that, and as we go for that, we'll find out all the reasons we've created why we can't have that. Yeah. There's the resistance to it, right? We either fight or flee what we want, right? Because we can't have it for whatever reason, whatever story we'll make up about it. Same thing is true of why we can't have it, why we want to avoid it. We create all the reasons that, we'll never allow that to happen, which in reality won't allow what you want to happen then. So there's resistance on both ends of it. They both limit each other, and we have to learn. So the skill is to learn to go in and out.
That's right.
Of those unattached. So it's not personal, so that it's free flowing in between them. And we can say, why am I attached to that? What do I need to let go? What do I need to learn? What do I need to see? What do I have to experience so that I can move through it? So I don't have to keep playing that same shit over and over again.
Yep. And then we learn automatically to use the negative, as it were, as the stepping stone. Becomes an instrument for us.
That's right. When we realize it's a choice we're choosing.
Yeah.
Thinking that we're getting away from it. Thinking that fleeing it is going to work. Yeah. Thinking that fighting it is going to work. Thinking avoiding it, all that energy to avoid it is going to work.
Then you've got no energy left to be creative.
That's why there's nothing to be happy about.
Yeah, exactly. That's the real definition of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah, when we really see it, we call it insanity.
Exactly.
But until that point, we are unaware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And think it's reality, think it's what we really do. And anyone else that's talking differently about it is crazy.
Yeah.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
So can I divert quickly to something, but I mean, it's relevant to what we're talking about.
Only if you think we're equal.
So there was a question in one of Sadhguru's satsangs about that what gets taught in meditation isn't helpful for people that are in poverty. And I love this about yoga. And what he said was, when you have somebody in poverty, you're not trying to alleviate their pain through how they think about themselves. You go and find out how you can facilitate food. That is what you do. But for people that are comfortable enough and that have got the luxury of analyzing themselves to death, which is basically, he kind of was poking. This is what's needed. And this is what's needed because then they can go out and facilitate and help other people find food.
The way I heard it with him is that when you are hungry, you have one problem.
That's right.
When you're not, you have all of them.
That's right. Yeah.
However he said it, brilliant.
Yeah.
And that is the pressure, right? That allows that it is a fight. And without a doubt, it's not easy to relax. It's not easy to allow. It's not easy to notice that because everything is always just a grind.
That's right. And it's a grind because we forget to be with I don't know how else to say it, with the blessing of appreciating every mouthful that we take. And it's not a moral thing. It's just being able to be with this, the sensations and the experience of being able to feed your body. So that state of presence, and that's why they always say all we need is presence, right? Because if you're fully present, it means I always have this image of like you're dropping right down into the middle of the earth and you're going right up, into the heavens. It's everything in that moment. It's not just you standing there, it's what's underneath you and above you and all around you. And if we could experience that more, and we don't, because you think about it often, like, you realize that you're hungry, so you go and get something to eat, but you're eating while you're either watching a movie or you're talking to somebody on the phone, or, you're doing another activity. And your focus isn't on your food right then and there and everything that is going on. Because out of that presence comes so much that, so much awareness, right? That's what you're doing when you're in that state. You're increasing that muscle of awareness.
Yeah. What I've learned is that is a practice for when you need it.
Could you expand on that a little bit for me, please?
Meaning, one, it's a practice. So it's always possible, and we're not good at it. And so it's a practice in the awareness of it. And if we're not aware, then it's just a default. It's an automatic. It's just running itself, which is the sense of, in all reality, it is not in control. It is out of control. And then in situations, in moments that we want it or need to use it the most, we're not prepared to use it.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's not that moment that that moment's useful to see the difference between, if we're practicing it. Otherwise we'll be learning we'll be experiencing the same thing to learn the same lesson again and again and again.
Exactly.
It all comes back to that awareness that's practiced. Or, like we said, until you experience it out there, that then you learn the lesson.
Yeah. Then again, so if we bring it back, you only get to learn through being in a safe enough space where where a mirror is being held up for you and you can see it. So there's no judgment with it. Otherwise, you just keep on judging yourself and you loop,
Either flee or fight it.
That's
Either
right.
way, it's no space.
That's right.
Or freeze. I mean, you can freeze into it too. And not do anything.
Yeah. And that thing also of not having any space is also, it's that loop between the self-conscious and the unconscious, right? And so there's no space for opening up into consciousness. There's no awareness that it's there.
Nope. And whatever story you have will keep you there, and whatever feeling it is keeps it there, and just continues to play until we choose to put a new one in its place. We learn how to put a new one in its place. And most of us in the Western world here is living as if it's out there, attached to whatever's out there. As if I'll find happiness by seeking, getting, achieving anything out there. In all reality, it's a feeling that contentment, a meaning that we create, that we internal, from in here to out there.
Exactly.
That's why there's always something to be happy, grateful, enjoy, peaceful, calm, powerful, passion, purpose, everything about it.
Yeah.
It just is framed. We frame it with our limitations.
Correct.
Forgetting that was a choice at one time that worked.
Yes. Yeah. And the value that it had when it worked.
That's right. Why we keep playing it and expecting it to work under the same, without realizing maybe the situation's different. Circumstances are a little different.
Yeah. The environment is demanding different things from us.
Requiring different things, different lessons, changes. Change, waking up to the change.
And you start with the most fundamental thing of the changes that the body goes through.
From the standpoint of resisting change. How much does the body change?
A lot. It changes most when it dies.
Until then, it's always changing.
That's right. Yeah. And there's something internally in us that, despite all the other changes, is constant.
Well,
How far did we get, Jess?
51 minutes. Oh, completed the manual for me.
Okay, great. That's amazing.
Completed the manual, completed a demonstration of it, completed a walkthrough, right? I don't know, you tell me, how far did we get?
Yeah, I think we could, for me, I feel like we got to the essence. I should go and sit and see if I can write about it from beginning to end. I think that's what I'll do. See if I can track it like that.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Can I just, I'll just say one thing.
Keep going.
So I always hesitate. It's so interesting for me. I always hesitate in terms of talking about or writing about consciousness and being concerned about who I leave out. Because not everybody uses that language. And I'm sure there's a way in which one can do it without doing that. And maybe my concern is just an old pattern of always watching out for what if. I don't know.
Who does it alienate?
That's a question also, because one also wants to look at who self-selects whether they pick it up or not. You know, that's important.
Yeah.
So as long as the people that are drawn to it don't feel excluded in any way.
I mean, it's a good way, bad way. It's, everybody, there's one side that's talking about, oh, they're all being woke, and just talking about it is that. So.
And I'm also thinking about that thing of that experience of, when you asked about how much does the body change, but that experience of ourselves, even though it changes, it's constant.
Expand on that. Even though it changes, it's constant.
Okay, so even though your patterns change, your essence is constant.
Yeah.
So that works for me.
Yeah, that's what I speak about woke to the extent that I understand what they're talking about. I think it's in all of our interest to be aware of what we put in the way of our essence.
Oh, yes.
That to me is woke.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't want to see how you're limiting yourself, if you don't want to see your truth, if you don't want to see your genius, if you don't want a better life, then don't be woke.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the self-selection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight for what you got rather than allow something new. I mean, it's those are choices.
Yes, they
There's
are.
a old way we've done it, and yeah, we can fight like hell to hold on to it, to go back to it.
I know.
That's a choice. Everyone can choose their way. That's just saying the past will be better than any future.
Yeah.
I say we can't really change the past. The only thing that we can change is the future. And that's what we're both saying if we don't see eye to eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're both saying we want something different in the future, something other than that. And the point of it is we got it all right now.
Exactly. The future starts with the now.
Yep. With the intention. It's like, the clarity, purpose, our essence. Yeah, that's what's next. That's what I can choose. We have a bunch of eyes choosing. That's what we end up with.
Mm. Mm.
Works as it does anyway. I mean, it's already working that way. We might as well just be aware of it. It's already working that way. Let's just be aware of it. Let's consciously, there's conscious. Let's with intention choose it now.
Mm. That's so important. So when you work with illness, as well, I mean, I say as well, but I come back to that. So illness or dis-ease in the body, as my teacher would say, is what you can use, right? So you come back down to exactly the same thing. You can fight it, you can flee from it, which you can't really. You can pretend, which is what many of us do for a long time. But your best route is through. And then there's a whole, then there's a whole lot of layers, right?
Yes.
And discernments but your best ally is your awareness and collaboration. Those are your two best allies.
Yeah.
But that little refrain that you had just now, I can't remember which one it is now. I think it's about that, with us talking about the essence. So if you embrace the dis-ease and you dance with it, you have to do quite a bit of dancing, and you have to have patience, and your best outcome is not, your best way is not to be attached to immediate outcomes. So your end result is clear. So I'm trying to, sorry, have you still got time? So if I think of my situation, there were these huge barriers. And then around every time I turned a corner, which went in the wrong direction, somehow some collaboration happened that was different and helped me to climb over the barrier. And even though the body has been impacted on and is not anywhere near as strong as what it was, the strength of it keeps on going down because of the collaboration and the support that there has been, which has included knowing how to deal with the body in a different way. That's been really important in terms of the physical longevity of the body. But in terms of the attitude, the more grasping I did, the more I set things back. The more loosely I could embrace while keeping awareness, for other things and asking questions, the more breakthroughs I had. And then those breakthroughs were not just at the physical level, they were at the physical, psychological, and the energetical.
Well, I don't know, but I can assume, just like anything else, especially something that's so personal to disease or health, like the scare and the fear of that becomes so much of an expectation of, I want it to go this way.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And this way, my way, and the way that it needs to go may not be in alignment.
Exactly.
And that goes for everything that we do.
Exactly.
And that whether we're aware of it or not, that's how it goes in life. We just approach it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
do you remember what my teacher said to me when I asked him? I shared with you and Jenny the one day. I said to him, Gertrude, why do I get sick all the time? He burst out laughing and he said, do you ask why when you have an orgasm?
nope.
And it was just, so succinct. Talk about a shortcut.
Yeah, but it
taken me how many years? I was 32 when I met him. I'm 64 now. That's another 32 years. Chewing.
Yeah, and the message is we're powerful.
Exactly.
And so powerful that we're creating that disease. Well, then we come to the point is like, oh, well, we can fix that. We can resolve that. We can change that. I have no doubt that we can. It's just whether is it in our cards.
That's right, because it's that interplay between the body and the environment that the body is in.
Yeah.
But still, that pattern of going in dancing as opposed to marching is key.
Yeah. And you can't see that on the outside very much unless you're really in it with someone, and someone that says that's not going to work, it won't work. So
that's right.
It's like, and those that say, oh, that could work, and they make the shift, they do the work. There's certain places that can measure that have really good results with it, right? But I mean, there's a reason why they use the placebo as the benchmark.
It's interesting, that thing of 30%.
Yep.
Placebo is 30%, and that long-term research that they did with bonding, all you needed was 30%.
Yep.
In terms of getting it right the first time, put it that way.
Yep.
But that other 30%, where you get it right the second or the third time, is equally powerful and valid, and adds. So then you end up with 2/3 instead of just one.
That's the aim, right? Is double the chances.
Exactly.
And only amplification has that opportunity, not a limitation or a takeaway.
That's right.
It's only a one-time use.
Yeah. Thank you, Jess. That was good.
It was. Thanks, Allison. Great morning.
Yes.
All right. Well, have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, and you too.
I will. Thank you.